participation, I had invited several people to come along and have what I actually turned into a bit of a discussion, which is not the normal thing that we would do at a meeting, but I felt it was right to do this. The background to it is that, as you know, we've been looking for a skate park for some time. I, in my capacity as chair of Rec and Works, decided that I really need to go around and have a look and see what was available, etc. So I walked around and I visited 3 sites in total. 2 sites looked distinctly possible. 1 site I subsequently learned was likely not to be available. Now, I'm very interested as far as the Bristol Road Football Club, very interested that they have a huge amount of ground which, for which they don't pay a great deal, but nevertheless they provide superb facilities, and they have an excellent record of bringing on youngsters and engaging them in sport. Now, given the fact that it was a large area, I thought I might just have a look around and see whether there was any possibility of increasing the use of that ground as more of a community base. Thinking about a skate park was just a small part of what I have in mind, because there are quite a number of other facilities that could be put in, given the amount of land that's there. And consequently, I decided that the best thing to do was to meet with the representatives of the football ground and have a word about what might be possible.
Football and cricket.
Sorry?
Football and cricket.
Oh, I'll come on to that, but certainly come back to me. Yeah, football, cricket, yeah, come back to me in a minute, if you wish, no problem. So I then wrote to the committee members, emailed the committee members, and I have passed a copy on to Mr Jeff Hardman, as he knows, trying to get a meeting with the people involved. It was difficult to get a meeting simply because I'm busy and they were busy, and that's all there was to it. Anyway, eventually we met, had an excellent meeting and discussed all sorts of possibilities. And just to give you an example of the sort of thing I'm thinking about, I felt it would be rather nice to have a small children's play area there, so that when people came down with the older siblings to play in team games, if they had youngsters, they could bring the youngsters along, they could play in the playground with a little bit of equipment, etc., etc., and that would take an awful lot of pressure off the parents, I felt.
A bit like the lake grounds.
So, will you please not interrupt? Thank you. I'm not going to interrupt you. Please don't interrupt me.
Can you remember the lake grounds? Yeah.
Please don't interrupt me. Thank you. Okay, so I went down and had a very, very good meeting. Very positive. Discussed such things as the use of the ground for cricket, for football, of course, and also thought about things like rounders and baseball and a lot of other activities that may well be fitted into that ground, and some of the ground surrounding. Okay, so we move on then to the meeting of the Rec and Works Committee, and I was delighted when who arrived in the meeting was Tony Tween of the Scouts. Sorry, that's something I forgot about. The Scout group are looking for a third headquarters, and that's another possibility which might be put into that ground. Also a leadership course. If any of you have been involved in leadership courses with cadets or whatever, you'll know what I'm talking about. Also coming in was Adrian Green, who's the chair of Portishead Town Football Club. Mark Stallard, who is is running a number of the teams there, and John Harris, who is basically in charge of the club in terms of health and safety and certain legal matters that he deals with. We had an excellent meeting, absolutely excellent, very positive, very refreshing, and what has been decided is that there will be a meeting tomorrow evening where I will be going down and meeting with that group and pushing these ideas of the further use, the greater use of that ground for a wider community use than is presently the case. I will report back, of course, to Reckon Works and then ultimately to everyone when I have when we've completed that. There are a number of issues about the grounds that have got to be dealt with, which I wasn't aware of until very recently. But again, that's something I will look into in my capacity as chair of Reckon Works, which I feel puts me in a position that I am able to go ahead and look at facilities for greater community use. When we moved on to my particular part of the meeting, it was simply a restatement of pretty much what I've already said. I still feel, incidentally, as I did originally some time ago, I think it was 2007, I still felt that Kilkenny Fields was the place for the skate park. But bearing in mind that doesn't seem likely, I still will publicly state I do not think that the lake grounds are the place for a skate park. I know that's not to people's tastes, but that was my opinion, and I am entitled to my opinion.
Was the people's opinion there?
Particularly as a resident. Please don't interrupt me.
Why don't you give the facts to the people?
I'm not going to interrupt you. Please do not interrupt me.
Oh, what a shame.
Thank you. Very simple.
Not in anybody's backyard, I think it was, wasn't it?
Thank you.
Right, if I may continue. Okay, so that was my feeling. I'm doing all I can to find a possible location for a skate park, but I do underline that what I'm doing at the moment is for greater community use. And if it does actually include that, then so much to the good.
What a surprise.
Right, okay.